What's up, Squadron? Aviation has given me a ton of amazing experiences.
Good job there. Nice rock, high wing.
But more importantly, it's introduced me to a whole new family of friends.
Like, dude, you're killing it. You're having a great day.
So just never give up.
Airport, and then, oh, by the way, I got carb ice while I was flying too, so the engine started running rough. And I had to
Join us tonight as we're cleared direct for some hangar flying. I am Bryon Bowman, and this is SuperAero Live.
That's a lot. I mean, a lot of cookies.
What's up, Av Geeks? It is not Wednesday, it's Friday, which can only mean one thing. It's time for an episode of SuperAero Live, episode 99 tonight. Oh, wow. Thanks for your flexibility tuning in on a Friday. I had a work thing. Things got a little silly for work Wednesday and Thursday. So Cam, our guest tonight, who you'll meet in a second, was gracious enough to extend to Friday to get it all done. Let me see who's in the chat on this great Friday night. Zach Sherman's here. Hanger Tales is here. Watching the ISS fly over. That's pretty cool. Watching that up in the sky. Who's here? Ryan Krieger's here talking about snow? Up in northern Wisconsin already? No, I'm not digging that. It was cold, though, here in Milwaukee today. Who else is here? Anitra's in the chat. Hey, Anitra, we're going to say hi to you in a second, I'm sure. Juliet Echo Foxtrot, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Scrolling through here, Midwest, the Flying Midwest podcast. That was episode 98. We did a little dogfight, and they just released the podcast version of it, their version, where they edited it down. Ooh, I got that. Normally, edited is a hard word for me to say. I got that first try. So they edited it. See, now I psyched myself out. They did that. Really great to listen to. I think we're going to have to get this in podcast form for everyone at home. 72 Papa here again. Man, I'm still freaked out you guys had snow up there. Ken Dodson in the chat. Great to see you, Ken. Rusty's in the chat. Hey, Rusty. Good to see you. I haven't seen you since Osh, I think. So, yeah, we're just... Oh, Flight Express. Tim Everett is here. Tiffany Starr is here. Fly Chucky Fly is here. What's up? Great to see all of you. And Eric Johnston just showed up. Uh-oh. Gonna have a battle of the photographers here in a second. Anyway, okay. So, let's get on with tonight's show. Be sure to share it out with your friends. Share it out with your enemies. We got a really cool one. This gentleman I met at, oh man, where did we meet for the first time? I don't know. Super cool dude, photographer, pilot, all that jazz. I'm just gonna put him on the screen because it's weird to talk about him when I can see him and you can't. Boom! Cam Walton's here. Hey,
that guy. Hey, what's going on?
With the radio voice. God, he sounds so good.
Yes, I try.
Do you do it? Is that just you? Is that just you naturally?
Me. Oh, that's just me naturally. Unless, we're talking about airplanes and then I go up about 3 octaves.
Only a little bit. Maybe what we could do is, as like a little bonus for your and my fans, is we could do like airplane bedtime with Cam.
Oh, yeah.
Just like read like a bedtime story about like putting the tail draggers to bed in their hangars. Oh no! He just disappeared. Cam is gone. Okay. Well, we'll get him reconnected in a minute. But what we're excited to talk about with Cam tonight is we're excited to talk about all things STOL. So Cam is a photographer for NationalSTOL, ArkanSTOL, and some other crazy thing. There he is. He's chiming back in. We're gonna assign him to the thing, and we're gonna do this. There he is. He's back.
There we are. Oh wow. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
That's all right. We'll keep rocking that thing. All right. By the way, while we were talking about like lullaby or like bedtime stories with Cam, a lot of people in the chat. Well, just one. Tiffany Star says, where do I subscribe to that?
Let's do it.
And Ken Dodds is into it. Anitra's into it. So, yeah, let's do it. Anitra says, STOL for life. All right.
STOL for life.
So that's where we met, was on the STOL circuit.
Yeah.
And
yeah, NationalSTOL, Central Florida Classic.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And we quickly became friends because you and I are both camera nerds, and we were looking at cameras, talking about camera stuff. Yeah, really great. And what's fun is even at big events like Sun and Fun and Oshkosh, you and I will just magically like run into each other in like all the like secrets. There's all these secret places that you get to go as a photographer that I sometimes get to go, and so then I'll be like, "Oh, Cam's here!" Like I know I'm safe. Like you caught me sneaking into a place at Sun and Fun. You're like, "Wait a minute, what are you doing there, Ryan?" I'm like, "Shh, Cam, don't tell anybody. I'm sneaking into this place."
Oh, you got to hang out with all the cool folks, though.
It was just I don't know.
Yeah,
that was a weird night. So anyway, sorry. So that's how we met. We became friends. You're doing all the STOL photography, but let's take a step back. I was wondering if you could talk to us just about how you got your start in airplanes. Like, where did that passion begin for you?
Man, I'm gonna say that it was inherited by my dad. I have no idea how that happens, but he was deep into the space race and liked the X-15, liked the B-58 Hustler, liked the Saturn V rocket. So, I mean, he was all into that kind of hardware, and somehow I inherited that love for things that fly. And I guess ever since I was a young child, like just a little kid, not able to even speak, I was pointing at planes and screaming in the car, where my parents probably thought I had a problem, but then they quickly figured out that I'm looking out the window, looking at things flying around. And that's really how it started.
So that's how it started. And then what came first? Was it like going after your certificate, or was it photography? Was it like, how did those worlds all combine for you?
Photography, definitely, because what would happen is I live in Little Rock, Arkansas, so we didn't get a lot of fast mover traffic. We have the Little Rock Air Force Base, home of Herc Nation, so we have C-130s, and that's awesome. Love C-130s, love seeing them fly around Little Rock, and it just makes me feel at home, even if I'm in like Albuquerque, New Mexico. Like, if I ever see 130 fly over, it kind of just makes me feel good about myself. It puts me in a familiar area. So, but yeah, we didn't have a lot of fighter traffic or anything like that. So my dad would take me to like Books A Million or just any other type of bookstore, and we'd look through the magazines, look through Air Power, look through Wings, Combat Aircraft Journal. Just looking at all the cool planes that we never really get to see. And I was like, I want to take photos of those things. Like, it's nice to see them. It makes me feel good when I see a picture of a plane. It's cool to see the stuff that you normally don't see. So I decided that I wanted to take photos, and we had been going to the air show, every year since I was about 3 years old. They had my parents had a old Canon film SLR camera. I can't even remember what the model is. I always have to ask. But I guess slowly I was able to take responsibility of holding the camera and then shooting with the camera, then using the camera. And then when my folks decided that they didn't want to go to the air show quite as often as I did, then I got entrusted with the camera.
Wow.
And so I was probably about 9, 10 maybe, with a little with the large Canon SLR camera, and just going to town.
I wonder, I think I had the same experience you did, but with an old, I think it actually is over on my other desk, like an old Pentax with or the Pentax K1000 with it was fun. You got to like wind the film manually, the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's still
you remember those like cigarette box cameras that you like pull out and have to wind up. I forgot what they're called too, but they're super old.
Like the spy ones? That was
Almost like the spy ones, but they were like rectangular and very thin, and you had to wind them up. I don't remember if they actually went in and out, but it's very small. I can't even remember what kind of film it used. Like just a very, very small film camera. Nothing special to it at all, really.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I just found like, oh, I don't know, like how many dozens of rolls of film that I must have taken at air shows.
Yeah.
And like here's the thing, like you only become I'm like a tenth of the photographer you are, but like I only could do that by taking like, film is expensive too, but just like uninspiring photo after uninspiring photo of like warbirds on a ramp or something. So that's interesting. Because I know you from the STOL world, you caught the bug from the military side.
Yeah. I mean, everything in anything military, high performance machines, they're what get my attention, and flying machines is really what really gets my attention. So, I mean, the best of both worlds. To me, I'm going to piss some people off, I know, but I mean, I was one of those kids that was like, okay, yeah, another prop plane, whatever. It's another Cessna, whatever. Like if it didn't have afterburners, if it didn't have, camo paint, gray paint, whatever, and some cool dudes in it, like then I really didn't care until my first year going to ArkanSTOL and really just going to STOL competitions, period. But it really started at ArkanSTOL where I decided that I want to fly. Like I can do this, like this is for everybody, truly, and you should take advantage of it while you can.
Speaking of like fast moving
photos.
stuff, yeah, those are Sorry, I didn't like that was not the most professional transition to photos, but like I mean, there's like looks like a heritage flight of some sort somewhere.
That's at the first Lockheed Space and Air Show in Sanford, Florida. I think that was 2020. We had all of the Air Force demo teams in one area for the very first time, and it was super cool. They did the heritage flight. They did it without the A-10. The A-10 is missing from this picture, but they ended up doing that later on. I want to say in Miami. I might be wrong about that, but they ended up doing that famous photo out the back of a C-17 and all of the Air Force demo teams in one formation. It was really cool.
100%. And then like one of these, the one I was looking for, there we go. Like that.
Oh yeah.
That personifies what you were describing, like that love. And I don't know if, I don't want to spoil it, but if people look maybe just kind of above the vertical stabilizers, there's kind of a special thing happening. I don't know if you want to describe what we're seeing there.
I mean, I wish I had the scientific know-how to perfectly explain that, but it is the EA-18G growler going near supersonic. I mean, it is definitely transonic. Those are what those waves are. Those transonic shock waves that the camera can pick up. It's the coolest thing since sliced bread to me. Like I've never pictured it or photographed it, and then I finally got it at Oshkosh this year. I got all of the fast moving jets doing it, basically, like the 35C and the 35A and the EA-18. Like Oshkosh is magical for sure.
So you didn't like prop planes, or you were unimpressed by them, which is fine. I like everyone's got their thing they're into, right? And like, so the question is, what brought you to ArkanSTOL then? If that's where like it started, like if
really just that it was a cool competition in my backyard. Arkansas. Like when I go places, a lot of people are like, "You're the first person I've met from Arkansas," and I'm like, "That's bad for us. Like we need to get out." We need to get out more often. Like you definitely either need to come to Arkansas or more Arkansans need to get out. But
is that what? Sorry, I want to take a step. Arkansans?
Arkansans are what we are called. Yes.
I literally never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard that in my life.
You don't say Arkansas, you say Arkansas, but
right.
we are
you
Arkansans.
say Arkansans. Because like Wisconsinite, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Arkansans.
Yeah, cool people.
Illinoisans. I'm like, thanks, by the way. That was nice of you to say that. I'm just like, my brain's doing a little weird. You just fractured my brain a little bit, Cam. Okay, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
So you're like telling this great story about like, yeah, like I wanted to go get involved. And I'm like, wait a minute, Arkansans? I don't know if I can handle that. Good point from Fly Chucky Fly in the chat. He says C-130 is a prop plane.
C-130 is a prop plane, but it was camo painted when I was a child, before they were gray. Yeah.
Okay. There's the qualifier. Scotty says 782
yes.
Pop. And Rusty says if you've ever been to ArkanSTOL, you're an ArkanSTOLian. That
is true. Yes, it is a Facebook official group, ArkanSTOLians. So it is real. Group.
So okay,
you
go to ArkanSTOL, and what? Because I don't even think I think we need to have the ArkanSTOL. Like, I don't believe they've been on the show yet. It's 99 of them. I can't remember all of them. I know Eric came on and talked about ArkanSTOL a little bit one time, yeah. But so what was it about ArkanSTOL that like captured? Because everyone knows the NationalSTOL thing. Like if we talk about like kind of like the three big ones, right? NationalSTOL is kind of like the traditional STOL event where you're taking off and landing in short distances. STOL Drag is on the scene as well, which is more of like a back and forth drag race as far as the course. Can you explain, Rusty? Just come on the show, Rusty. He's like, not yet. No. Notably, Ryan, we have not. Well, let's fix that. Explain to me the ArkanSTOL, because it was just last weekend, right?
It was just last weekend. Yeah, we had a great time out there too.
Like what is it about that captured it for you besides just like, different?
Well, to be honest, so I set up my camera on the main runway, like on the edge of the main runway, and I just sat there for a little bit. I had a gaudy setup, like you would laugh, but like I had a big old carbon fiber tripod, and I had a gimbal set up, and I had my camera set up right there, like I was just following everything. And John Humbert slipping over the trees just captivated me, like just where you could see him in a very aggressive slip, but also you can see the bottom of the aircraft, and you see the smiley face that's there that, I didn't know people painted the bottom of their airplanes like that. But like seeing him do that and then straighten out, like, because he was nose pointed towards me coming in, and I'm like, how is this happening? Like, and this guy's doing this in, something that is semi-affordable, like that's cool. That's really cool. And then everybody else was doing it. And then I moved positions and went to a different runway. That was back when we had Grit and Travelers, where we had a cross runway. And I mean, there are two takeoffs and landings. Well, two sets of takeoff and landings at that strip, or those strips. And I mean, just being out there and seeing all that was better than, I think it's better than flying jets, honestly. Like, I mean, it looks like it's way more fun. I mean, I hit the course last week with Kelly Qualls, and he took me through the course lightly. And we did a heavy slip coming in, or a really aggressive slip coming into the river strip, the main strip, and it was really fun. Like, it was probably the first 2 times that I've really aggressively slipped like that. But just having that feeling where you're crabbing, like looking in a different direction, and you're really going straight down the runway, and then you straighten out and land and everything's okay. I mean, that just seems just super fun, just extra fun.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because there was this funny post today on like airplanes and coffee, which is I think mostly a dumpster fire. Which now that I've said that here, they will all rebel against me, and someone will be knocking on my door in like 20 minutes probably. But yeah, it's hit or miss. But someone posted it, they're like, oh, like if you have to slip, you're bad at flying. Change my mind. And then what was funny is like all the STOL regulars, like like Doug Jackson, Kevin Quinn, like they're all like, you suck. Like,
Yeah.
Joe Costanza, the J3 Bananas guy, like he's in there
Bananas,
like, what? Like
yeah.
he's like, I must really suck at flying because all I do is slip. And I even got in on it. I was like, what about an airplane without flaps? Like what are you gonna do? And it was really funny. Yeah, a lot of slipping it like it's good. Could you actually for people who, since you've actually ridden in the course with Kelly, which sounds amazing, but could you describe for people who maybe aren't familiar with ArkanSTOL, just like what the general kind of event is?
So you talked about NationalSTOL being traditional STOL. So we're taking off and landing, flying a short course, basically flying a circuit, coming back, landing. Then STOL Drag, takeoff, matched basically like a drag race. Whoever lands first and stops, then we turn around, come back, and then stop, basically like take off, land, stop. ArkanSTOL, people have described as STOL cross because you've got one single person. They're flying the course. It's this year it's 3 runways. Last 2 years it's been 3 runways, but there's 3 runways. You take off at the main strip, you go to Travelers, and you land, turn around, take off, you overfly the main strip and head towards Driftwood. You have to, this year they had obstacles. So we had 25-foot inflatable pylons that you had to clear before you landed at Driftwood. When we turn around, take off, you have to fly over those obstacles. And then there's another set of 25-foot inflatable pylons at Rivers that you have to fly over and then land within the, I believe it's a 500-foot landing box. Your distance from when you landed is measured by laser, which was super cool to see. And then they do the scores. I wrote down the calculations for the scores. I think it's because you run the course twice. So it's your time divided by 2. Plus, I'm going to get this wrong, but I think it's plus your actual landing distance divided by the manufacturer's landing distance times 75, I think.
What?
And then
So you got to do calculus to figure out the scores.
There's heavy math. There's definitely some heavy math.
Rusty's in the chat. Rusty, just put the formula in the chat, Rusty. Like what?
So
okay, I get it though. So what's interesting about what you said to me as someone who had no idea about that, right? You have the time trial part of it, you have the landing distance part of it, and the landing distance being countered against the sorry, people are saying nice things in the Kelly says, now that I've had you on the show finally, or Kelly says, now that I've had you, Cam, on the show, he's gonna finally subscribe to this channel. Okay.
Heck yeah.
So the manufacturer's distance thing is the equalizer, right?
Yeah.
Because that equalizes the pilots against, because for instance, like something like a heavy, in NationalSTOL, which might be like a heavy touring plane or a light touring plane, like that's at a distinct disadvantage. That's why in NationalSTOL there are classes to break them up. But so that the way to do that,
they have classes. Yeah,
in
ArkanSTOL
ArkanSTOL
has
as well.
classes
Okay,
too.
this is education for me. Kelly says, basically you got it, but Rusty says he's working on typing it. It's a lot of typing, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there was another element that I was missing out of there that I know was within parentheses. So I know I'm missing something, but yeah, it's the times, the distance against the POH or the manufacturer's website is what I was reading on the website today. And I can't remember the last element, but
it's all right. He'll hit us up. That's the wonder of the magic of the internet. And Kelly's reminding us that there are 3 classes, like you mentioned: bush, light sport, and touring. Okay, cool. This is cool. This is great because I want to come announce it, guys. Like, let me come help with that.
Yeah,
so I got to learn about it. Okay. So you described it, and you say other people describe it as STOL cross, and what I'm guessing is that is a reference to like autocross.
Yeah, like autocross.
It's a time trial against yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So what was the coolest thing you saw this year?
There was a lot of cool things. I had the unique opportunity. So like the past couple of years, I shot planes, basically, like just photographing planes. This year, I had more of a focus on the lifestyle and the people shots. And so part of that was our presentations, which were brought to us by the AOPA. They had a tent out there that they had a few presentations. I think I missed some of the early morning ones, but we had the NASA chief, I believe his name's Jeffrey, who came out and spoke about the Artemis mission, like the Mars and the Moon missions, which was really, really cool. We got to talk about, or he talked about super intriguing stuff, like how they can't tell what resources are actually on the moon, because everything, like if it's inside of a crater, we're not going to see it because we can't tell, like on the IR spectrum. Everything is either going to be blue or black or whatever cold is. And so if there's frozen hydrogen or frozen oxygen or whatever inside of a crater, we definitely can't see it. So we have to go visit to see what's in the craters. So yeah, so I mean, like there was stuff like that. Let's go all day. I mean, basically, if there are those resources on the moon, then that's basically a waypoint for us to get to Mars. Like there's we can have a station. I think the gateway station is going to be the moon station, like the moon space station. And if there's those resources on the moon, then they can refuel at the moon and not have to worry about taking up 10 or 20 rockets to refuel whatever is going to take us to Mars.
There's one, I don't get too emotional that often about, like, not my kids or whatever, but the NASA released like a video about the Artemis mission, like way back, like when it was announced, that like explained like how they were gonna do it, and it's long. Yeah. And I was just like, it's this beautiful animation, like explaining everything, and there's this like assertive young woman's voice. You're like, we're going to the Mars, and we're gonna do it via the moon. We're gonna go to like all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, like cheering at the screen because it was just super, super exciting. So anyway, did Cam? Yeah. Oh, you're there. Oh, you were standing very still because I thought you froze. I was like, oh no. Okay. No,
I was listening intently.
Check this out. Rusty put the formula in the chat. I'm going to put it up here. So time divided by 2 plus the actual landing distance divided by the manufacturer's published landing distance. Oh, it went away. From their website, times 75 plus penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's close. Forgot the penalties.
You got the penalties. And penalties would be if you go underneath the imaginary line between the two inflatable things.
Yeah, or cut the course short, or yeah.
But what you just described as being one of the coolest things is not, like, that's not like STOL flying. That's like science. So there's like, this is like a big aviation get together. Like, it's like a big, like, it's more than just the competition.
Man, there's so much happening. It's really cool because, even if you're not a big fan of aviation, which I find very, I don't understand how people don't like planes, but even if you're not a big aviation fan, let's say that you're in the bluegrass, or you're just into good food, or you're just into camping, ATVing, doing whatever. I mean, ArkanSTOL's hosted at Bird's Adventure Center which is this magical place in Arkansas in the Ozark Mountains that, I mean, they have great food. They have a restaurant that's there. I mean, you may not have cell service there, but it's a great getaway from everything. So I welcome the fact that I didn't have cell service. I mean, I had Wi-Fi every once in a while, but I wasn't messaging. I wasn't doing anything. I was just taking, that whole week or the few days that I was there just to enjoy being out in the woods and camping at night, and it being one of the darkest areas of the state, so you can look up and see the Milky Way. I mean, it's really, really cool. And so you were talking about the ISS, like seeing the ISS earlier. A few days ago in Arkansas, it was a big event. Like you could see it for 6 minutes, and the meteorologist on the news had announced it and everything. And I'm like, yeah, this happens every once in a while. I mean, not only does ISS fly over, but you've got the Chinese space station that flies over, and sometimes it's brighter than the ISS. You just have to, go to the right websites and figure out what times they fly over or what days or whatever. But I mean, I was standing outside and I saw it and I was like, wow, okay, it's super bright out here. But yeah, there's not only Arkansas didn't only have the STOL flying, which is awesome, right? Like, all the competitors are really all the same competitors from NationalSTOL and STOL Drag. I mean, not all of them, but most of them. So, it's a lot of familiar faces. They're flying a different course. After the flying is done, we have large dinners at the end of the night, and then there's picking and a grinning, which, like I may not listen to bluegrass, like just cruising down the road, but it's really fun to be in that environment and just hear all your friends singing about flying and ArkanSTOL and their friends, and like people being around, in the circle and everything. And I mean, I was a musician at one point in my life, and just having the appreciation for watching Jared Justice just go ham on a 5-string banjo is just like, it's really cool. And then you have Levi Naugus, that's just, he's going ham singing, and I mean, we're just having a blast, and it's a real fun time.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a blast. I've wanted to go for a while. Obviously know a lot of the same people through the NationalSTOL stuff. It's a lot, like you said, it's a lot of the same contenders. It's just a different way for them to do their thing. And they're always like, when you come to ArkanSTOL, and I'm always like, it's whatever excuse. I always have an excuse. So I want to look at some of these pictures you sent. I don't know what else you had about ArkanSTOL in here. I think there was this shot. Yeah, there we go. That's like,
so that's all the pilots and the owners of Birds, where ArkanSTOL is hosted. So there's Pam and Zen. Pam's wearing the pink hoodie, and her husband's right next to her in the beanie, hugging on what looks like Kenny Munger. I mean, like, that was a great play. And then on the very end is Rusty, who's in the chat. I mean, that just having all of our friends in one spot, just in a different place. And for me, it's my backyard, it's Arkansas. So it's just really cool to have all my friends that I've been chasing all over the country all year, in one area that's close to home.
And you brought up a good transition to something I wanted to ask you about, which was you're listed a lot as, like, I think you call yourself like an aviation nomad. Is that What do you?
I mean,
am I hitting it right? Am I describing it right?
Pretty much. I mean, like, I had like an old Instagram that was like nomadic aviation photos or whatever. But I mean, like, that's me. Like, I'm very nomadic in my tendencies to go out and photograph airplanes. So, I went to, I saw you at Yuma this year. We were out at Yuma nerding out about cameras out there.
In a sand, I'm like, hey, let me show you this camera, as like sand is just pelting us. I'm like, maybe this isn't the best time.
Yeah, that was a learning experience about how sand and cameras really don't mix. And that if you do that, if you go, like, if you're an aviation photographer and you're like, you have one takeaway from this is, if it's dusty where you are, bring a can of duster, like, for real. Because when you get in your car or get back to the hotel, you can just spray everything off, just make sure you don't spray your image sensor. That's not where a duster is used. But I mean, like, just take a brush, take some duster, spray your camera off before you start turning and twisting on knobs and stuff, because it gets everywhere, and it's not fun. It'll be there for a long time. So I can only imagine how the pilots were with their aircraft. Like, just imagining where sand is currently from Yuma in, what was that, February or March?
Yeah, like there's still sand in those planes. 100%. Yeah, I mean, the best part was I was walking around after that competition, and someone had flown in. They didn't compete, but someone flew in an RV8, and the RV8 was sitting there, like, in the sand, like, in the desert, and it looked beautiful. Just stunning.
Oh, yeah.
Sun's coming down, RV8 sitting there, and the thing was just covered in painter's tape. Like, it was like every crack was just like, clearly someone had a better, like, more forethought than I would have. They were like, oh, this is gonna suck. like tape everything. Because then on the same side, there's like dudes and, like, some kids brought like a J3 over, and that thing is just like filled with sand. Like, it's like just like filled inside with sand. So
not the J3.
Yeah, I had to mention a J3 at some point. Okay.
Oh.
So yeah, you're like everywhere. Like, every time I show up at a NationalSTOL event, no matter where it is, it's like, bam, there you are.
Yeah.
People are telling me in the chat I'm supposed to shame you for not finishing your PPL. Well, like, talk to me about your pilot training. Like, how's that going? What are you enjoying about it?
It's going really, really, really slow. I mean, I started flying last year, so I mean, yeah, it's going super slow, and it's not a money thing or anything. It's just I have to do ground school. Like, I have to get through it, and like at first, you're reading, and like I have like the Gleim software and everything, and so you look at the E6B and you're like, what do I do with this? They said time, fuel, and just what is that? How is this all on one, like in one area? And actually, I watched a few YouTube videos that really just, like, it just made me feel stupid because it cleared it up really quickly. Like, I probably watched like the King videos and VSL, and who's the C-130 pilot who VSL, his name is Seth Lake. He actually piloted one of the C-130s that did a flyover for ArkanSTOL. They came in and pretended to do some approaches, and I mean, had gear down, flaps down. Just that's Melissa Burns, which is.
It's all right. I was like, while you're talking about this, I want to make sure to like rep your photos, so I didn't mean to distract you. But
no problem. But but yeah. So I mean, I watched one of his videos, some of free pilot training. He's another C-130 pilot out of Little Rock Air Force Base. His name is Josh, and they all have great information. You just got to sit down and decide to absorb it, But that's where my pilot training is going. I really need to just sit down and take care of my ground school, and then get back into the cockpit, flight deck, whatever you want to call it. But there's possible talks of me getting a champ within the next couple weeks. So
whoa,
we'll see. Yeah, that escalated really quickly. But
champ is very different from an F-18.
A champ is very different from an F-18. Absolutely,
we've come a long way.
Yeah,
from the beginning.
We learned how to have the acquired taste for GA, which I hate saying it like that, but like, it happened, and now I'm happy that it happened. I mean, it wasn't only ArkanSTOL, but ArkanSTOL is really what kicked it into gear. Truthfully, I went on a date with someone that obviously it didn't work out, but while we were on the date, we talked about airplanes. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and she was like, "Oh, your eyes light up when you talk about airplanes. You should go do it." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, why not? Let's just do it. Let's just see what happens."
Yeah.
And that led to an interesting flight, an interesting discovery flight. I flew in an Aeropract A22, I believe.
Yeah.
And I told the CFI, I was like, hey, I've been going to these STOL competitions. I want to learn how to fly STOL aircraft. Like I want to do backcountry flying. And he's like, all right, cool. So this is an Aeropract. And I was like, all right. And he's like, yeah, it's like 600 pounds, 500 pounds, something like that. And I was like, okay, that's very interesting. Like really cool. I'm 250 pounds, so potentially I weigh half as much as this aircraft does. That's cool. So
Yeah, me too, by the way. Me too. I resemble that remark as well.
Oh yeah. Which you don't look like it like I do. Like I look at pictures and I'm like, whoa, bro, something's got to happen. But
no, no, it's the same.
So we went up. I was in Searcy, Arkansas, and flying out of the municipal airport out there, and we were flying to Carlisle, Arkansas, it should be like a 15-minute flight maybe. And the whole flight was 15 minutes. Like takeoff and landing was 15 minutes. We got up, and it was pretty bumpy. It was mid-April, so I mean it was pretty windy, and immediately making the turn to go out to Carlisle was like eye-opening. Like I was like, this is not like flying commercial. Like I've got many hours sitting in the back of a CRJ or a 737 or whatever, and it's like it's smooth flying, it feels good. You hit some bumps and you're like, I'm bigger than the bumps, I guess. So like, this is nothing. But then you get in a little Aeropract, which is a cool plane, but like when you're getting beat up, like, and then you hit thermals and this is your discovery flight and you're like, this is not what I was intending. Like I thought you were going to fly the plane. I thought you were going to explain like how the flight controls work and like what landing is and like, how you land and take off. And if I had the opportunity and you thought that I was, maybe had the aptitude enough, like we would do a landing, like you would give me heavy instruction and I would have my hand on the stick. And it was like, oh yeah, so I'm going to take off and then you're going to land. And I was like, what? Like I wasn't ready for this. I thought this was like a sit back and chill. And this was a presentation for me in air. And I was going to decide from there if I wanted to pursue it or not. And like, yeah, just getting beat up in Arkansas in the middle of the spring was not my idea of fun. So I probably took like a month to think about it, because it was like a come to Jesus moment. Like, yeah, man, little plane, get beat up real hardcore. That is not what I found ideal. And then, I got used to the bumps. You get used to the bumps. But yeah, that first discovery flight, probably, I mean, like if I didn't have like a good social network of like, like good friends that were like, oh dude, that's nothing, man. Like, just keep going. You chose the wrong day to fly. Like, it's okay. But flying in those bumps makes you a better pilot. So like, and I just have that, I have to be the best at everything that I do. Like, that's just 100%. So it was like, all right, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to learn how to actually fly in like decent weather. And then we're, maybe we'll go back to the bumps later and master them. And basically just take the Bob Hoover, approach and just like, this scared me, so I'm going to approach it and just, go out and do it and conquer that fear and then move on to the next thing that scares me, because the ultimate goal is to be doing 4-point rolls and at air shows and competing against all the guys in unlimited aerobatics and just doing it all. Like that's where my love of aviation is going to take me.
So we're going to finish up the training and then head into aerobatic training. Like,
not initially, because
like this picture
yeah.
here, that's you soon.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, we won't say too soon, because that is hardcore. I had the honor to speak to Rob Holland, and what he told me was to not rush. I mean, he basically said that he learned to fly, and then over the course of 10 years from learning to fly, went into aerobatics. And that's where we'll get the PPL this year. But I'm not trying to like jump into like an extra or a game bird like and go for aerobatics like right off the gate. Like I do need to be smart, take my time and make sure that, just building a solid foundation of knowing what to do and not ending up in some type of bad situation that I can't get out of.
Sure. No, I know. I think that's probably the right way to do it. But I do want to see it like tomorrow because I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, I want to have the sponsors lined up tomorrow. I want to be in a game bird, just tearing it up and just having a great time. And then, the sky's the limit, literally.
Let me ask you this. So the champ might be a thing. Does that mean like goals of competing at ArkanSTOL and NationalSTOL, or are you gonna stay on the photography side of those things? People ask me this about announcing. They're always like, when are you gonna compete in NationalSTOL? And I'm always like, I'm not. I'm gonna be here doing my job.
I would definitely love to compete. Like that would be cool. Like I would definitely enjoy. I mean, I would be sad because I'm not taking photos, right? Like, that is a love of mine, and maybe I can strap up playing with 360 cameras and have that much fun with it and everything. But yeah, I would love to compete. I don't know that I would be competing to win, but it would be nice to be able to say that, hey, I competed at NationalSTOL. I placed maybe, or like bad things didn't happen, or like same thing with STOL Drag and same thing with ArkanSTOL. I know that I need the experience to work my way into those events, but yeah, it would be cool. I mean, because it's cool to take photos of all the guys and gals that compete and them approach you, and everybody's super nice and approachable. No one's ever been like a jerk or anything. Like it's always
Yeah.
like, hey man, you got those photos? Like, yeah, I got those photos. I got some great ones. Or like they see you on the sideline, like Kenny Monger, like he's like always just he's just ready to
Yeah.
go with being super photogenic inside of the cockpit, like as he's about to go or as he's taxiing or whatever. Like, it's those cool moments that I really enjoy getting as a photographer. But I can't wait to be in the same seat doing the same thing with somebody else that is trying to get into aviation photography and doing the same things, making the same friends, and then I'm sitting there like, because that's the idea. Like I do want to compete for myself, obviously, but like also it's all about getting the word of aviation out to everybody, because there's so many different avenues that you can take that nobody knows about. Like no
Yeah.
one's like, I wish someone from the Civil Air Patrol came to my school and talked to us. Like we had Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and all that stuff, and that was cool. Like that's fun and everything. But like if the Civil Air Patrol guys came to my elementary school, like I probably would have body slammed somebody trying to run up and be like, "How can I do this? Like, where do I start? Like, I'm in elementary school, but like." How do I get in the cockpit? Like what, or like the Young Eagles program? Like my parents had no idea about Young Eagles being a thing, or like the EAA chapters and having breakfast and being able to fly and being at a certain age and be able to ride with those people who are hosting the breakfast, or whoever just has enough space in their aircraft to just fly maybe a 15-minute route or like a 30-minute route. Like those things just they don't happen. And I wish they did, because like there's a pilot shortage, and like
Mm-hmm.
there's reasons for that, but there's also it should have never been a thing. Like if Civil Air Patrol went to the schools, like like how Boy Scouts did, and how like the local high schools that were in the area would come, or to the junior highs that were in the area would come in, and like the band teachers, like I got into percussion because my middle school or junior high. I went to junior high. I wasn't a middle school kid, but like my junior high band director came to my elementary school when I was in 6th grade and played the flute, played the French horn, played a baritone, played a clarinet, did a 5-stroke roll on the snare drum, and I was like, snare drum, that's me right there.
Yeah,
So, like,
man.
so I mean, like that's what got me into music, and like growing up as a 90s kid, you're like, that was before like LASIK was something that you could use. The Air Force would take you, or the Navy would take you. Like, it wasn't until I want to say I got into high school, like I got out of high school, that a friend of mine, I worked at Best Buy, and like one of my friends quit. He was like, I'm going to.
They're like, wow, you could like be a medic. I'm like, that is cool, and props, no pun intended, to the people that are doing that. I want to fly. And they're like, nah, your eyeballs can't do it. Now you can do it.
Now you can do it. And now they have programs like, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like from enlist to admiral, like in the Navy, where you can jump in the pipeline from, being whatever is not a pilot and whatever is not an officer, like, like you can jump in that pipeline and then go from an enlist to being an officer of flying F-18s, being in the Blue Angels, being an admiral, like, there's just all these different opportunities, and either they weren't around when we were younger, or, maybe we just didn't, I don't know, take the right path at the right time. Because, I've got lots of friends. I say lots of friends, but I do have a handful of friends that were in the military that had mechanic jobs or were truck drivers or whatever. And then they went to a different field, like, whether it's special operations or special forces, or, being a pilot or whatever. And it's cool that the military is acknowledging that, you don't have to come out of college with like a perfect everything and everything. Like, some of those people just, some people just don't like school like that. Like, you do have to have a degree, of course, like you have to go through the all of that. But like initially, like for me, someone like me, like I was very young in the mind. I was very immature, but kind of much like I made very sound decisions when I was 18. Like, we're still here. I don't have any broken bones. Like, I don't have any brain damage from, doing crazy drugs or anything like that. But like, I was still immature enough to not make those critical decisions that, like put you in the pilot seat, or where people are like, oh yeah, that guy's super mature. Like, I would trust him, with like keys to the, whatever. Like, like I wasn't that guy. I was definitely like, yo, Adult Swim tonight. Like, I'm pretty sure I can score some beers. Like, I'm 18, but whatevs. Like, no one's gonna know. Like, just hanging out. But like here we are at 35 now, and like I'm trying to make all the real stuff happen and reading up. And like, cause like I said, it is about being 100% competitive, but also just having those avenues for people to go to an air show and see that this guy wanted to be a fighter pilot. It didn't work out, but like, went a different path and got to where he's flying aircraft that, on the weekends, fighter pilots wish they flew, or like,
right.
Yeah. Like I love seeing on like, Instagram or like YouTube where like someone's like, yeah, man, I fly F-16s or I fly F-18s, but I got the RV8, in the hangar. Like, and we go and have fun on the weekends. And it's like, okay, like, see, like that's legit. Like, you're hearing someone who's doing all the things that you want to do, but he's flying something that you probably, like 9-year-old you would be looking up at you like, no, dude, what is your problem? Is there, you can take the props off and put a jet engine in that, right? Like a little T-38 engine in there, like in an RV8. Let's do it. Yeah,
someone should do that separately.
Someone should do that. You got the Waco that's got the T-38 engine or the jet engine on it. Like, why not just have an RV that's got two jet engines?
Someone call Elliot Seguin. He'll figure it out.
Call the homie.
It's funny you mentioned like the military pilots, right? Like what they fly on the weekends. When we had Major Brewer on from the Thunderbirds, formerly of the Thunderbirds, I think he's moved on now, but he talked about wanting to buy a Luscombe. Yeah, because I was like, oh, like what are you gonna do? And I'm pretty sure he's flying air showing like that, but like he was like, yeah, like I was like, what's your dream airplane? He's like, oh, like Luscombe over the cornfields of the Midwest, baby. And I was like, that makes me so happy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was at
Like,
the Aviat booth at Sun and Fun, and well, this past year or this year, and the guy that brought in the VX9 Super Hornet, the one with the bat on the tail, like the CAG bird, the color bird.
yeah.
I mean, he was hanging out at the Aviat booth, and I was talking to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go back to California, and then I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna fly my Aviat, like my Husky. I'm gonna fly my Husky," and he was super excited about it. And I think our buddy, I'm gonna butcher his last name because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna say it wrong, but Josh Richling, that's on the team with Steve Henry. Like he's got a buddy that flies F-18s, flies Super Hornets, and he was talking about how he was wanting Josh to tell everybody, "Hey man, like I don't remember if he's got a Super Cub or a Carbon Cub, but he was like super excited for Josh to tell everybody that I want to come hang out with the guys and let them know that I got a Super Cub, and it's just like I'm sitting up there like I'm looking at the Top Gun jet right now, like who cares about the Super Cub? Like he just flew in the Top Gun jet, at Reno, and it's just like it's amazing to see those guys and those gals like want to do backcountry flying and interested in just GA, because for me, like I'm thinking about 9-year-old Cam again, and I'm like, yeah, if someone approached me and was like, "You fly F-18s, would you want to fly an RV?" I'm like, nah, bruh, we're good on that. But like 35-year-old Cam is like, absolutely, like let's go do that. Let's go chase the RV grin. Let's do a few rolls. Let's do a loop. Whatever we can do. Like let's have fun. And luckily, I did have I got a chance to finally catch the RV grin, and I flew with Bulldog Flight, our local RV formation team.
Yeah, I saw that.
A couple weekends back. Yeah, it was really cool. We did a 4-ship, did all the 4-ship formations. The Finger 4, the Diamond, the Echelon. We did Follow the Leader, did Trail, like had a blast. And I got some pretty cool photos, and it helped me appreciate what other aviation photographers go through when they're sitting in like a photo bird and they're like, "Man, that stuff is super hard." And I'm like, "Nah, man, just, a 60th, like set the shutter speed for a 60th or below, like, just hold down the shutter button, have fun." It's like, yeah, but when you're hitting those bumps along with that, in-body stabilization or like lens stabilization really isn't going to help you in that situation. Like there's a lot of luck in there, and then it's a tight space, and depending on what you're flying in, like you may feel like the agitator in a paint can, just rattled around, and then like, there's just so many different variables when it comes to doing air-to-air that I had no idea about and other people had talked about, and I was just ignoring. Like, all right, yeah, whatever, man. Like I can shoot, I can pan, I can shoot. Like we're good. Hold on one second.
All good.
My computer's wanting to die, so I'm just gonna plug it up real quick before it goes.
Right. I'm gonna respond to a couple things you said while you do that. I think one, like, that's the thing you talked about with like 9-year-old Cam, like, 9-year-old Cams, like, that's why air shows are important, right? Like, even though you didn't end up doing it, I didn't end up doing it. We both wanted to do it, and then for whatever reason it didn't work out. Like, we're still participating here, right? Like, we're still it's still a part of our lives. We're still, I'd like to believe, if I could be so bold, that you and I are a net positive, more you than me, a net positive on aviation, right? And the world, right? And so that's part of what it is. And then two, like, yeah, man, like, I don't know if anyone can see that. There's a model of an RV8 back there hanging with my tools awkwardly. Like, yeah, I would do that now. The thing that is really interesting to me about your story is that Okay, let's see if it worked. It says resume already in progress. Can you guys hear us and see us? Did you abandon us?
Oh, looks like
Cam's still here. Dang it, Ryan's internet. Zach, tell a joke. I'm going to just go through here, read the chat. Cam hung with us. Okay, so we were covering a lot of cool stuff before we lost internet connection. But Anitra says, dude who flies the Maverick Super Hornet thinks Steve Henry is a god, and all he could talk about was the Super Cub. That's the guy you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. We're here. Everyone's here. I feel like they should not move while buffering. What? You're back. We're back. Everyone says we're back, and they are still here. And the graph on my computer is going up. It's going up. And it somehow resumed through the magic of the internet. How about now? All right. We were almost done. But long story short, I wanted to just say, yeah, man. Like, I don't know. I think it's interesting to me how you found it. It's different than I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't go big jets to GA. I think people kind of, but, you know, in the same breath, like, I remember, like, you know, for me, it was, oh, there goes the internet again. It's going to do it again. I can see it doing it. I get the, like, so ominous of this thing that is killing or dying. But, like, you know, my favorite movie growing up, Flight of the Intruder, about the A6.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I found it through military too. I'm being kind of a hypocrite saying it's unique because I don't know if it really is. Okay, so the internet. I think we're on borrowed time, Cam. I think something's wrong in the state of Denmark here, rotten in the state of Denmark, and yeah, everyone's like, no, the buffering is resumed. Could we play a game before the internet totally gives up? It may already have, but can we play a game to wrap up tonight?
Yeah, let's do it.
You ready to do it? It's this game called Short Final. This has been really awesome having you on. See, I think it's coming back now. I think we're just going to give it to everybody in bursts. So they're all going to catch up right now. We're going to play Short Final. For people who don't know, Short Final is a game where we have a minute on the clock. I'm going to ask Cam a bunch of short questions. He's going to give me short answers. We're going to see how many he can get through. There are no prizes. He's either won or lost. It's his decision. No points. It's just like that Drew Carey thing. Whatever. Whose line? But airplanes. Not really. I don't know. I'm going to keep going. All right. Let me get this thing set. Here we go. Dramatic music. And the clock. All right, everyone. Short final with Cam Walton, STOL photographer extraordinaire. First of all, got to know, when you're flying, as you work on your training, north up or track up on the GPS?
Oh, let's go north up.
There's no wrong answer. It's just a personal preference. What about your favorite airport you've landed at?
Gaston's. I don't know what the actual letters are, but it's Gaston's in northern Arkansas.
Oh, that sounds. I think I know that one. You haven't had a passenger yet because you're still in your training. Let's talk about. You talked about jets. What's your favorite warbird? Or jet? Military jet.
Warbird's gonna be Bearcat all day. Bearcat's just got sexy lines.
And like, if I asked you, like, because I think you're enough of a nerd for this, like, favorite, like, what would I guess be 4th gen fighter?
Legacy Hornet.
You're a Hornet guy.
I'm a Hornet guy. Yeah. Mass respect to the Tomcat, but Legacy Hornet all day.
You know, for me, it was always the Eagle. It was always the Eagle.
Sexy. I mean, Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, like, it's kind of hard to beat all those aircraft. F4s, A4s.
Yeah, and I love the A6. It's ugly. It's ugly.
Ooh, the A6.
But
you
I
said
love the
Flight
A6.
of the Intruder.
Oh yeah, I think that was maybe that would have been while I was trying to sort out the internet. I don't know. We talked about Flight of the Intruder a little bit while we were trying to sort it out. See, I think it's. I'm very curious, Cam. I'm sorry that the 99th episode and your episode, this is happening for the first time. It's my problem on my end, and what's very interesting is it looks like I see this little graph, and then it's kind of like, and and then like this red thing shows up, and I wonder if it affects the viewers at home. Does that happen? Do you see anything, or does it just kind of like we eventually freeze and then we come back? Hit us up in the chat. I'm sorry, that's not your problem. That's a me problem. Are you gonna be at Lone Star? Are we gonna see each other at Lone Star?
You will see me at Lone Star. I will see you, sir. I'm
so excited to see you at Lone Star. That's gonna be cool. That's the NationalSTOL Series Finals for this year, and that's gonna be a fun one. It's still kind of deserty, but not like Outlaw was. So
it'll be in Texas, so we can get some awesome Texas barbecue.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, we gotta do.
I do want to say though, well, no, actually, I'm not going to say it because last year, the Arkansas Razorbacks owned every Texas football team out there. We were calling it West Arkansas, but we can't do that this year because of reasons. So we'll be back out there. We'll be back out there beating Texas. It'll be West Arkansas once again at some point in time.